Hey everyone, and welcome back to Real Talk Podcast. I am your host, Mia, and as always, I am here with my co-host, Jake. Jake, how are we today?
Honestly, really good. Although I will say today's topic is going to hit very close to home for a lot of people, like uncomfortably close.
Oh yes. Uncomfortably close is actually the perfect way to describe it. Okay, everyone, today we are talking about something that I think is especially real for anyone who grew up in an Indian household, or honestly, any household where parents had very specific ideas about what your life should look like. We are talking about when your parents' dreams become your prison. The pressure, the guilt, the expectations, the slow suffocation of living a life that was never really yours. We are getting into all of it today.
Yeah, and before anyone panics, we are not here to bash parents. We love our parents. This is a nuanced conversation.
Yes, very important disclaimer. We love our parents. Okay, let us get into it. Jake, okay, I want to start with something really specific because I feel like this is the experience that so many people have had. That moment when you realized that the path you were on was not actually your path, it was your parents' path for you. Did you have that moment? Like a specific moment where it clicked?
Oh, yeah, I had that moment. And it was not dramatic like in the movies where someone stands up at dinner and says, "I'm done with this." It was much quieter than that. I was sitting in a class that I had been pushed toward my whole life, and I just remember looking around the room thinking, I do not want to be here. Not like I'm tired today, I don't want to be here, but like a deep bone level, this is not mine. I don't want to be here. And that feeling was terrifying because I didn't know what to do with it.
Oh, that deep bone level feeling, yes. Because it's not just boredom, is it? It's something much more existential than that.
Right. It's like suddenly seeing the walls of a room you've been in your whole life. You never noticed the walls before because you were just living in the room. And then one day you see them and you can't unsee them.
Wow, that's actually a really good way to put it. Okay, so for anyone who maybe hasn't had that moment yet, or is not sure if what they're feeling is that, what does it actually look like when you're living someone else's dream for your life?
Okay, so there are some very clear signs. The first one is that you're achieving things that look impressive from the outside, but feel completely hollow on the inside. Like you got the grade, you got into the program, you got the job, and everyone around you is celebrating. And you're smiling and saying thank you, and inside you feel absolutely nothing. No pride, no excitement, no sense of accomplishment, just emptiness. And then you feel guilty for feeling empty because you should be happy, right? You did the thing. Why are you not happy?
Oh, the guilt on top of the emptiness. It's like a double layer of bad feelings.
Exactly. And the second sign is that you can't answer the question, what do you actually want, without immediately filtering it through what your parents would think. Like someone asked you what your dream is, and your first instinct is not to think about what you want, is to think about what answer is acceptable, what answer wouldn't disappoint anyone. And that filter has been running so long, you might not even realize it's there.
Oh, that filter. Because it becomes so automatic, you think it's your own voice when it's actually theirs.
Right. And the third sign is the resentment, the quiet, slow-building resentment that you probably feel terrible about because these are your parents and you love them. But it's there, showing up as irritability, as distance, as not wanting to talk about your life with them because every conversation feels like a performance.
And the performance is exhausting. Like you spend the whole family dinner playing a character that's not you.
The family dinner performance. Every Indian kid knows exactly what that is.
Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, so let's talk about where this actually comes from. Because I don't think parents sit down and say, okay, let's design a prison for our child. Like, most of them genuinely believe they're doing the right thing. So where does this pattern come from?
Okay, so this is the part that requires a lot of empathy. Because you're right, most parents aren't doing this maliciously at all. They're doing it from a place of love and fear. And specifically, the fear comes from their own experiences. Like a parent who grew up in financial instability is going to be obsessed with their child having a secure, stable career, not because they want to control the child, but because financial insecurity left a scar on them and they're terrified of their child experiencing the same thing.
So they're trying to protect you from their own pain.
Exactly. And a parent who felt judged by society, who cared deeply about what the community thought, is going to push their child toward respectable, prestigious paths because reputation and social standing felt like survival to them, and they want to protect their child from the shame they themselves experienced or feared. So the pressure is really not about you at all. It's about their unresolved fears being projected onto your future.
Huh. Wow. Their unresolved fears projected onto your future. That's a really compassionate way to see it.
It doesn't make it less suffocating, but it does make it less personal. And that distinction matters, because when you understand the root of it, you can have a different kind of conversation about it.
Okay, but let's be real for a second, because I feel like we should also talk about the very specific flavors of Indian parent pressure, because there are some very specific ones that I think everyone listening is going to recognize immediately.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, first one, doctor, engineer, or lawyer. That's it. Those are the three options. Everything else is not a real career.
Oh yes, the Holy Trinity: doctor, engineer, lawyer. And if you said anything else, like I want to be a designer or writer or filmmaker, the response was very predictable.
What was the response, Jake?
The response was first silence, then a very long exhale, then the classic line, "But what will you do for money?"
Oh my God, yes, the exhale. The exhale is so specific. Like, it's not even words, it's just a sound of pure disappointment.
A sound that communicates more than any sentence could.
Okay, second flavor. Log kya kahenge? What will people say? Because your life choices are apparently a community event.
Log kya kahenge, the three words that have ended more dreams than any actual obstacle ever has.
Right? Like, it's not even about what you think or what your parents think. It's about what some auntie 3 streets away who you've met twice in your life is going to think.
And the auntie doesn't even care. The auntie is busy worrying about what other people think of her own kids, but somehow her imaginary opinion has veto power over your entire life choices.
Oh, that's so painfully accurate. Okay, third flavor, the comparison. Beta, look at so-and-so's son. He's doing so well. He just got a government job.
Oh, the comparison cousin. Every family has one, the one who was held up as the standard of success at every single gathering.
And that cousin is also secretly miserable, but nobody talks about that part.
Nobody talks about that part. The comparison cousin is always thriving in the family narrative, regardless of what's actually happening in their life.
Okay, I feel like we could do a whole episode just on the comparison cousin. But let's get back on track. Jake, so given all of this, given the love and the fear and the log kya kahenge and the comparison cousin, what actually happens to a person who spends years living a life that was designed for them by someone else?
So what happens is a slow erosion of self. Like it doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual. You make one compromise, then another, then another. Each one feels small and manageable. But over time, you look up and realize you don't actually know who you are outside of the role you've been playing. You don't know what you like, what you value, what makes you feel alive, because you've been so focused on meeting expectations that you never had the space to figure those things out for yourself.
And that's such a specific kind of lost, because you might have everything externally, good job, good salary, family approval, but internally you feel like a stranger in your own life.
A stranger in your own life, yeah. And that feeling often doesn't surface until your late 20s or early 30s, when the adrenaline of achieving things starts to wear off and the question, but is this actually what I want, starts getting louder and harder to ignore.
And by that point, there's so much more at stake: career, relationships, financial commitments. So pivoting feels even more impossible.
which is exactly why it's so important to start having these conversations with yourself earlier, not to blow up your life, but just to get honest about what's yours and what was given to you.
Okay, so how do you actually separate what's yours from what was given to you? Because if that filter has been running your whole life, how do you even begin to find your own voice underneath it?
So the first thing is to create some quiet space away from the noise of everyone else's opinions and expectations. And I know that sounds simple, but most people who are deep in this pattern are never alone with their own thoughts in an honest way. They're always performing, always managing perceptions, always anticipating reactions. So just sitting with yourself and asking, what do I actually feel about my life right now? Not what should I feel, what do I actually feel? That's the starting point.
Journaling helps enormously because when thoughts stay in your head, they are tangled up with anxiety and guilt and fear. But when you write them down, they become clearer. You start to see patterns. You start to notice what genuinely excites you versus what you have just been telling yourself you should want. Okay, and then what? Because figuring out what you want is one thing, but actually communicating that to your parents is a completely different and terrifying challenge. How do you have that conversation?
Okay, so the conversation with parents. This is the one everyone is scared of, and I completely understand why. Because the stakes feel enormous. You love these people. You do not want to hurt them. You do not want to be seen as ungrateful or disrespectful. And in many families, there is a real fear that expressing your own desires means rejecting theirs. So the first thing I want to say is that how you have this conversation matters as much as what you say in it.
Okay, so how do you say it without it turning into a massive argument or weeks of silence and guilt trips?
So, the key is to lead with love and gratitude before anything else, not as a manipulation tactic, but as genuine truth. Because if you love your parents and you are grateful for what they have done for you, say that first. Let that be real and felt. And then, from that place of love, share what is true for you. Not as an attack on their choices for you, but as an honest expression of who you are and what you need. Something like, I know how much you have sacrificed for me, and I'm so grateful for everything you have done. And I need to be honest with you about something, because I think you deserve to know who I actually am and what actually makes me happy.
That's so much softer than just announcing, I'm not doing what you planned for me.
Right, because the announcement approach puts people immediately on the defensive, but the vulnerable, honest approach invites them into your reality rather than challenging theirs, and it gives the relationship a chance to grow into something more honest.
And what if they do not respond well? Because let's be real, a lot of parents, especially in Indian families, do not respond well initially. There will be tears, there will be guilt trips, there might be the classic "you are breaking my heart" line.
Oh, the "you are breaking my heart" line, a classic.
Right? Like, it's so specific. It's never just, I'm disappointed. It's always full cardiac event level drama.
Okay, but in all seriousness, when parents react badly initially, that reaction is almost always about fear, not about you. They're scared. Scared you'll struggle, scared of what people will say, scared that their sacrifice didn't count for something. And fear comes out as anger or guilt tripping or dramatic statements. So hold steady. Do not match their panic with your own panic. Stay calm, stay loving, and give them time to process. Most parents eventually come around when they see their child is genuinely happier and more fulfilled on their own path.
Most parents, not all parents.
Not all parents, and that's a painful reality that some people have to face. That choosing yourself might mean a period of real tension with people you love, and only you can decide what you're willing to navigate and what you are not. But I will say this. The people I've seen who chose their own path, despite the initial resistance, who stayed loving but firm, most of them have better relationships with their parents now than they did when they were performing the expected life, because the relationship is finally honest.
The relationship is finally honest, because you can't truly connect with someone when you're wearing a mask around them.
Exactly. And parents often sense that mask, even when they don't name it. They can feel that something is off, even if they'd rather not examine what it is.
Okay, I want to ask you something a little lighter because I feel like we've been deep for a while. What is the funniest or most ridiculous career your parents or someone you know had to fight against their parents about?
Oh, okay. So, I know someone who wanted to be a chef, like a genuinely talented person who loved cooking, who had real skill, who could have had an incredible career in it. And their parents' response was, "So you want to be a servant? You went to school for 12 years to cook for other people."
Oh no, a servant? That's so dramatic.
Right? And this person is now an incredibly successful chef running their own restaurant. The parents come to the restaurant all the time now and tell everyone their child is a famous chef, like they supported it from the beginning.
Oh, of course. Once the success is visible, suddenly they were always supportive. They always believed in you.
The revisionist history of Indian parents when their child succeeds is truly a wonder to behold.
Okay, that is so real. Okay, last question, and I think this is the one that really matters. For anyone listening right now who's living a life that doesn't feel like theirs, who's walking a path someone else designed, who's performing happiness at family dinners while feeling completely lost inside, what do you actually say to that person?
I would say, first of all, you are not ungrateful for wanting a life that feels like yours. Gratitude and authenticity are not opposites. You can love your parents deeply and still need to live your own life. Those two things are not in conflict, even when it feels like they are. And second, I would say the guilt you feel about wanting something different is real and it's valid. And it's also not a reason to abandon yourself. Because here's the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup. A version of you that is living inauthentically, that is resentful and hollow and performing happiness, is not actually the version of you that can show up well for the people you love. The most loving thing you can do for your family in the long run is to become the version of yourself that is actually alive, actually present, actually whole.
That hit different. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And the most loving thing you can do is become the version of yourself that is actually alive.
I have my moments.
You really do, Jake. You really do. Okay, everyone, that's a wrap on today's episode, When Your Parents' Dreams Become Your Prison. And the biggest takeaway from today for me is this. Honoring your parents does not mean disappearing yourself. You can respect where they came from and still choose where you're going. Those two things can exist at the same time.
Have the honest conversation. Lead with love. And remember that a life that looks good on paper but feels wrong in your soul is not success. It's just a very comfortable cage.
Wow. A very comfortable cage. That's the whole episode in 5 words.
Sometimes 5 words is enough.
It really is. Okay, everyone, if today resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs permission to finally choose themselves. Drop us a comment. Tell us your story. We genuinely read every single one, and we love hearing from you.
Take care of yourselves, everyone, and please choose yourself. See you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.